graphics. So again, I'll do a quick demonstration of how to bring something from Illustrator into Sketch as well as Illustrator into Photoshop. So how to deal with vectors. So in Illustrator, I'm going to make a simple RGB color space because I am using I'm making a icon that I'm going to use on the screen. So I'm going to be using the RGB color space right here. I'm not going to worry about size right now. And then I'm going to make a simple icon. What do you want to do? We did the gear already, didn't we? Can we do a hammer? How do we do a hammer? We can do a hammer. I'll do a quick hammer. It's, I'm thinking of Peter, Paul, and Mary, hammer in the morning. Is that it? Hammer in the morning? Hammer all day? We'll make a hammer. Ooh, that could be a little bigger. Well, we're not done yet. Give me some time here. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. And ah, what did I want? No, I didn't want to do that. I'm going to do undo. Where's undo? There we go. Okay, let's flatten this. Let's cut these out. Where's my cutout? Cutout. Cutout. Where's it? Where's it? Pathfinder. There we go. There's a hammer. Is that better, hammer? Yeah. Let's add the little. It's got to be a little square. What's a hammer color? Is that a hammer color? Okay. Okay, we made a hammer. So if I was going to use this in a design either in Sketch or in Photoshop, of course some of the things I would do is now a couple different ways to get this into Photoshop. Of course, you know, we've already gone through and did some basic Photoshop. We learned how to do a mask. We learned how to put text in there. You guys hopefully made about 4 or 5 different interfaces in Photoshop by now since I've shown you, right? Okay, you got to practice. But of course here we want to use some vector artwork that we got from Illustrator. A couple ways to get it into Photoshop. One way, of course, is to copy and paste. An easy way to do it is to highlight all my graphics, copy, Command-C on the keyboard, go over to Photoshop. Let's say I'm making an interface in Photoshop, my iPhone 6 interface, and then paste, Command-V. It's going to ask you what kind of object do you want to paste if you copy and paste from Illustrator to Photoshop. You have Smart Object, Pixels, Path, Shape Layer. They all do a little bit different. Most likely if you want to keep... Huh? Yes. Most likely if you want to keep the original kind of Illustrator look so that it stays like Illustrator, is you use a Smart Object. Smart Object is basically what it says, like a smart object inside of Illustrator or in Photoshop, and it'll keep its vector information right here. It's still vector. You can scale it to whatever size you want. When you're done scaling it, you can hit the move and it'll place it. Oh, it disappeared. It's doing so. Oh, it's throwing it in my library. I don't know. They think I need to store my stuff in my library. Wonderful. I'm not connected to the library, so stop. Okay. So I have my hammer in Photoshop. Perfect. We can do things to it. The downfall, of course, is you can't really change it in Photoshop. It sees it as a vector artwork, right? So you would need to want to make it as the size or the color you want inside of Illustrator. You don't want to alter it here. This is just a way of placing it in your interface. If I was building an interface in Photoshop, this is one way to do it. Another way to get it from Illustrator or Photoshop, of course, is to save it and import it. Now, of course, I'm not going to save it big like this with the artboard this large. I'm going to shrink the artboard down to the size of the artwork inside of Illustrator by going under Object, Artboard, Fit to Selected Art. If you do that, it shrinks the artboard down to so it's the size of the shape. Then I can save that. Now, saving out of Illustrator is the AI format right there. So I can go onto my desktop and I can call this hammer. And I can save my hammer. And when I'm inside Photoshop now, just like I copied and pasted before, I can go underneath inside Photoshop now, File, Place. And I'm going to place embedded or linked. Of course, linked would be the original file that's on the desktop. You can open it up in Illustrator and change it, and it will automatically change it in Photoshop. Or if you embed it, it won't be linked. It'll be embedded. And yeah, if you made changes, you'd have to import it again. So I'm going to do embed so I don't have any problems with that. And of course, you can choose the Illustrator file, the AI file, and place that. It asks you how you want to place it in the page or as an image or 3D object. I just want it to place it in the page. Image, it'll convert it to a bitmap, I guess. In 3D, I don't really know. And so then I hit OK, and it puts it in just like it did when I copied and pasted. Same kind of concept. Make sure you hit the move tool and to make sure it takes effect. And it kind of places it just like it did as a smart object. You can see the smart object icon right here. See this little icon in the layer here? That means it's a smart object. So there's a lot of ways that you can make your own graphics. I know there's a lot of pre-made ones for you, but you can make your own graphics and bring them in to into Photoshop, because we've already started in Photoshop. Last class we started Sketch though, and I started showing you Sketch, and then of course Sue was here also last class, and she talked about how they use a lot of Sketch. So you might want to start integrating yourself with Sketch, just because you can learn Photoshop and you can do that, and you can make wonderful interfaces in Photoshop, Illustrator, the whole Adobe suite, make them interactive with experience design and everything, and it's fine. I'm sure you'll be successful as well. It's just, out in the working world, a lot of people have transitioned into Sketch, so it might be good as far as learning both. They both do the same thing. The concepts are the same. Remember the mask concept and all that stuff, color concepts? So let's look at Sketch for a moment.
Can you do it in Sketch then?
Do what?
The
No, I wouldn't draw it in Sketch because I'm so used to Illustrator. You could draw something like that inside Sketch. They do have some basic drawing tools in there. But let's not do that today. I'm going to import the Illustrator file is what I'm going to do. But they do have some basic drawing tools. Okay, they have, look, they have the same thing. Union, subtract, intersection, difference, kind of the same tools I use to make the hammer. These are the pathfinding tools. You got scale, you got mask. So you do have some basic tools as well. In this case, I'm going to say make a new document inside of Sketch. Where's my new document? I wanted to make a new project. New from template. There you go. You got those. So inside of Sketch, I can make a new page here, and then I can say the size that I want over here as well. What do I want? What was the page? Insert artboard. That's it. Artboard. And I'm gonna choose. Oh, I don't have the new iPhone stuff. I'm gonna need that. Let's do iPhone 7. So I'm doing iPhone SE is what I grabbed. So I'm doing the iPhone SE. You can see it's a kind of a smaller size screen. to import from Illustrator into Sketch, there's a couple ways you can go about it. Just kind of like we did inside of Photoshop, you can go from Illustrator, you can highlight your artwork, you can copy it, just like we did in Photoshop, right? Copy it, go over to Sketch, and you can paste, paste, paste. And it'll paste it in there. It pastes it and sees it as a vector. You'll notice all the strokes and fills come over. Right here you see strokes and fills. Some things don't come over, like gradients and things like that, so you might want to keep it simple, but you can copy and paste from Illustrator right into Sketch, and you can see it comes in pretty good. It makes it kind of here, you might want to select all the artwork here. It keeps them kind of separate. You can see you can actually adjust some of the things as well. You can group them together inside of Sketch and give it a name. And then you can actually make some adjustments, I believe. Yeah, you'll see you can make some adjustments. The stroke color, the fill color. So it does bring the objects over and allow you to adjust them inside of Sketch. Okay, so you can do that, and you can group them together and see it as a icon or whatever you're doing. Another way to bring it into Sketch is to actually place it in there. I think you might have to use a SVG though. Let me try this real quick. I was able to, now here's how I did it. I inserted vector right here. Insert vector. Was it there? No, I was able to insert image. And then, yeah, see the Illustrator doesn't show up. But what I could do out of Illustrator is save as an SVG. So if I go under File, Save As inside of Illustrator, and change the format to SVG, and save that, use default. I just use the default. I didn't change anything. SVG. Inside of Sketch, SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. It's basically a programming format that is a version of XML. And if I go and I can then go and insert this, I believe using the insert image, and then choose the SVG file. No, it doesn't show up. I was able to bring SVG, and I have to remember how I did it. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Let me try file. How did I bring an SVG in? I know I did it before. Okay, I don't remember. I'll have to try and remember. How about copying and pasting? There you go. It's got to be underneath here. Maybe I have to make it a symbol first. Yeah, I don't remember. This is when you're making one. You can make basic shapes like you can inside of Illustrator. You can see that. And then you color them. You can use gradients if you want. Oh, that's a border. I don't want a gradient in the border. I want the fill. So you can do basic shapes like that. And so it has basic vector shapes. So I don't know. I swear I thought I was able to do an SVG in there somehow, and maybe I was copying and pasting.
Well, that's the vector.
Yeah.
The humor you just copy and paste.
Yeah. So I wanted you to start thinking about that, and are you guys ready to talk about your project with your team? Who has a team here? You guys all have a team here? How many people do you have in your team? Daniel, right?
Yeah.
How many you have?
4.
How many in the back row? 3? What about middle row?
Everybody else.
1.
Are you by yourself, Julian?
No, I'm with Daniel. Yeah.
Oh, you're with Daniel?
Yeah.
Did your team abandon you, or isn't there people that they usually come, don't they?
Yeah.
Have you talked to them? Okay, well, you could share with everybody else. How about that? I don't know. Why don't you guys look at your layouts? Hopefully you brought some drawings in or something. I would love to see what you have. But